Welcome to the Soulfire Podcast, where every day we talk about real life, real shit, real raw. On this show, you can expect us to dive deep into topics like marriage, parenting, money, business, feeling like you want to give up, fighting for yourself, just straight soul healing. This podcast is all about life. Hey there, it's Power Coach Alishia here, your source of fun, funny, exciting, entertaining, and educational life coaching, transformational speaking, and soul healing. We're talking about setting your soul on fire. I specialize in helping women put themselves first without feeling guilty, getting out of their own way, and finding themselves again. No fluff, no hand-holding, no bullshit here, just love, light, and peace as we journey through this thing called life. As I was scrolling through Facebook, I ran across a quote. Oh my God, hopefully we could get through this episode. I ran across a quote that really connected with me because of some of the new clients I have in my Soul Circle program, and just for me and my past and some of the decisions I made in the past. And we're going to be talking a lot about it today because I think it's really going to help you in, stepping into your power and finding yourself again. So the quote says, "I accidentally spent all my life making sure everyone around me feels comfortable, only to realize I never felt comfortable the whole time." When I first became a coach in 2012, I was on this journey at that time of becoming a world-renowned speaker. It was the only thing I wanted. It was like a fire burning deep inside of my soul. I had written this badass speech that I had delivered to elementary schools and networking events, and I was so freaking happy. My only problem was I didn't know how I was going to get paid to be a speaker. I couldn't figure out how you would go from delivering in an elementary school for free or a networking event for free to being paid in front of a whole bunch of, doctors and nurses and medical professionals. I couldn't figure out how to make that connection or whatever the audience was going to be. So I had remembered at one of my parties, because I was still doing parties back at that time, that one of the ladies had said that what she did for a living was that she facilitated networking events. And so I went back to her and I said, "Hey, I am actually looking for someone to help me build my speaking career. Do you know of anyone?" And because she, that's what her job was. She was paid to put together networking events. So I figured she would know someone who was in the field of helping people build businesses, right? So she connected me with this coach, and I'm telling you, I knew where I was going. I knew what I wanted to do. I was done with the direct sales industry. I was done being a direct seller. I just knew, unequivocal doubt that this is where I was going. So when I went to this coach, that's what I said to her. "I want to be a world-renowned speaker. It's what I was born for. I love it. I'm amazing at it. It's what I want to do. And I want you to help me get paid to be a speaker." And she said to me that, well, it takes about 3 to 5 years to become a well-paid speaker. But since you are the breadwinner, you need to be doing something in the interim until you get to that point. What is it that you're really good at? And I said, well, I really just want to be a speaker. I mean, 3 to 5 years is a long time is what I thought, then. 9 years later, I'm still not there. I should have just fucking done it. But that's a whole other podcast, which I've kind of been talking about up to this point, right? You keep hearing me loop back to that because I think it's important. Anyways, so she's like, so you got to have something in the interim to be able to pay your bills and keep food on the table, da da da. What are you good at? And I said, well, I'm amazing at direct sales. I sell about $10,000 a month in personal sales. That doesn't, include my team sales. And so I think I'm pretty good at that. And so she said, okay, well, then that's what you need to be doing. The direct sales industry needs you. And I was like, but I want to be a speaker. She's like, well, we'll get you there. So I hire her to be my coach. It was like way expensive to me. I think I was paying her like $500 a month at the time. And I didn't have a lot of money. You know, I was the breadwinner for my family. I was doing my best to transition from being a direct sales coach into speaking and really following my dream and like my passion of what was in my soul. And I still hired her. And we went on to really build a solid coaching business for me as a direct sales coach. And as time went on, I hit like a cap of what I felt like I could make on my own. So I went in search for a marketing coach and I hired them. And that took the last $900 I had in my bank account to hire them. And I was terrified because I didn't know what I was going to do. I had just drained like every penny in my business account. And I could have used that, to pay some bills, again, still being the breadwinner. So we're now around November of 2013 at this moment in time. So I've been in business about a year and a half because I had launched my direct sales coaching business / speaking business April of 2012. So I jumped off the cliff, said yes, hired these marketing coaches, took my direct sales coaching company from $36,000 a year to $570,000 a year. So you definitely heard that right. $36,000 a year to over $500,000 a year. I could buy anything I wanted. I could go anywhere I wanted. I could do anything I wanted. I could spend any amounts of money that I wanted, and my bills were always paid, and I still had a ton in savings, and I had enough to pay my team. At this time, there was way more money than places for that money to go, and it would sit there and it would pile up, and I could put $12,000 down on a car. Like, it just didn't matter. I did whatever I wanted. I went to NFL football games. We went on amazing vacations. I would go and drop $1,000 at Ross on shoes. Like, it just didn't matter. This was my life. And one day I went to my mom's house and I was sad, like really depressed, sad, and not like permanently depressed, but just sad, and I had been crying and my mom was like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm just sad." And she's like, "Well, what's going on?" And I said, "Nothing." And she goes, "Well, then why are you sad?" And I said, "I don't know." And at this time, you have to understand, I had $76,000 in my bank account. And this isn't an over-exaggeration. So I really don't want you to think that I'm just like blowing smoke in this story. I had a lot of money in my bank account in this moment. I literally could have done anything I wanted. And here I am crying at my mom's house because I don't know why. I can't figure out what is wrong with me, And she was so like weirded out that I was so emotional because it just wasn't like me. She's like, "Are you pregnant?" I'm like, "No," And it wasn't that moment or that next year or even like 2 years within that. So it took me a long time to figure out what the fuck was wrong with me in that moment. But I now know what was wrong with me in that moment. And that's where this quote and, today's episode comes in. So the quote says, "I accidentally spent all my life making sure everyone around me feels comfortable, only to realize I never felt comfortable the whole time." Well, I spent those, up to that moment, 2 years, almost 3 years, building a business, making sure that I wasn't offending anybody, only to realize that I had hurt myself. I edited myself all the way out. I don't even know why I kept on with the Power Coach Alishia name, because I named myself Power Coach Alishia because I'm powerful as fuck. I have the ability to take my strength, my power, my energy, my fight, my passion, my everything that lives inside of me, my inspiration, and just infuse that into you. If you haven't realized that by now, which I hope you have, that's why I named myself Power Coach Alishia. I think I said that in an earlier episode. I don't remember. I'm glad that I automatically repeat myself though, because the looping in really helps you like take that on as your own and start to live by what I'm saying. So I'm pretty impressed that I auto loop in past episodes and things that I've said. and make it relevant to this episode as well, because it really helps you learn like you're in some sort of classroom or curriculum. All right, so I digress from that. So I just built my business being exactly what I knew people wanted. I was still powerful, but nothing like what you see today. Nothing like what you see today. And I still was different than all the other direct sales coaches. I had an ability to take something that was complex and overwhelming and didn't work and make it simplistic and badass and concise and step by step and just an easy to implement structure. And that's what made me so successful. So here I am with all of this money and just sad. And it started from the fact that I built a business I didn't want to build, really. And then it carried into, I built a business that I didn't want to build, not being me. And then it went into, I built a business that I didn't want to build, not being me. And now I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do it. So then 2015 hits and I set up this tour to tour across the country. It was a 70-day tour and it was all life coaching, but with my direct sales customers. And I was so excited because to me, this was my chance. This was my breakthrough opportunity to show people that I am one badass life coach and one powerful speaker. And this is like the first step to the rest of my life. I've got the money, I've got the clients, and now I'm going to go out there and build my speaking and life coaching business, right? Dude, I went on that tour and I never built it. Then 2016 hit. Okay, I can do this now. I can build up the life coaching side of Power Coach Alishia and continue direct sales coaching. I have a team that can, do most of the work on the direct sales coaching side. I've got this. You know what? So 2016 hits. Well, when 2015 hit, the money started going down because I started showing up more bold and more authentic and this is who the fuck I am. And I didn't care about being an edited version of myself. Then 2016 hit, the money goes down more. And then I think, you know what? This is the time. There's still money. I mean, still good money. You're still talking $30,000 a month. So when I say money goes down, it did go down, but it's still really amazing money. This is my time. And so my team can run the direct sales side. I can run the life coaching side. I've got this. I can show up at the points needed for the direct sales side, but I can follow my dream. And then every time I would divert my attention and just start focusing on the life coaching side, the money would drastically plummet on the direct sales side because it wasn't as much me there, right? My team was more involved. And there was this moment in time where we needed to come up with $30,000 between payroll and all our bills. I mean, my overhead was astronomical. And then this brilliant idea is born that I'll launch a podcast. It'll be called Direct Sellers Rock. And I'll do, release 2 episodes a week or what, I think that's what it was. And it'll just be badass. And I'll release the podcast. I'll do commercials to sell direct sales products. It's going to be okay. Meanwhile, we'll do this flash sale. We'll sell all this stuff. We'll make a ton of money. Okay. But I had to cut my team's pay. This is where the beginning of the end starts. I cut my team's pay in 2016 for the first time. Because I actually raised them way too high, way too fast to begin with. But that's a whole other story. So I launched this podcast and, of course, life coaching and speaking, takes another back seat. I got to focus on this because this is my bread and butter. This is where the money is at. Can't let it go. So here I am just focusing on this. Meanwhile, I'm starting to show up more authentically. More is me. I launched this Friday night chat called Bab Club. And Bab stands for badass bitch, right? So I would just go on live on Friday nights and talk about whatever and talk about what's on my mind and talk about how I feel and talk about what I'm dealing with and talk about what's pissing me off and whatever. It didn't fucking matter. It was not a training. It was just a place for us to hang out and chat. And it was through Facebook. So I was talking on live and people were commenting. People still talk about that to this day. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the Babs on that listen to this podcast, because Bab Club was such a pivotal point in their life, things that they learned, a space, just a little space in time where they grew just a little more as a person, and they helped me through a very hard time doing those sessions every Friday night. At the same time, I launched what was called Rock Club, and it was a book club. And once a week we would meet and we would talk about a book and, chat about that. And so you can see that in 2016, I launched this podcast because it's what's needed as the next step. But I'm also taking these steps for Rock Club and Bab Club to fill my soul, right? While at the same time continuing to show up unapologetically me, and the money is still going down. Okay, so I want to get real with you here for a second. The most important thing to know is that you don't have to work through this alone, because getting out of your own way, putting yourself first without feeling guilty, and finding yourself again is really hard work, especially if you don't know where to start or what actions to take. So one of the things that I really love about myself is my ability to help you have a breakthrough in a very short amount of time. That's why I've opened up my schedule for a free breakthrough session. You plus me on a free call where we're going to be uncovering what's holding you back, helping you get clear on when you got stuck, how you got stuck, plus the best next steps for you to take. The only catch is that I have a very limited amount of spots available, so you will have to move fast. If you're ready to stop sabotaging yourself, stop being everything for everyone, and find yourself again, then I'm inviting you to get out of your own way, grab my hand, and say yes to yourself today. To sign up for a free breakthrough session, just go to breakthrough.powercoachalisha.com. Again, that's breakthrough.powercoachalisha.com. 2016, is it 2016 the year? Yes. Fall of 2016, I launched my LuLaRoe business. And I decided, well, I might as well jump on this ship and do it to it. And I remember we launched the LuLaRoe business in October of 2016. And October of 2016, we also did $30,000. So it was still a really, really good month. But then the money from that moment on, it just started going down at this rapid rate. And I'm still showing up more and more and more authentic. At the beginning of the first quarter of 2017, we moved from Florida back to Utah. And things are still going pretty well. I'm still making pretty good money with LuLaRoe. And at this point in time, I wasn't even paying myself for my business. For my coaching business, I was just paying my team and letting the extras sit there. And I didn't have the gumption. I didn't have the fire. I didn't have the passion to keep going. And at the end of 2017, there was no money left. I had gone from, 60, 50, about $45,000 months on average. And now I was rounding out a $3,500 month. So here I am feeling like a failure. I've let this business fall apart. I see you shouldn't have been you. You shouldn't have shown up as you. You should have kept going. You're failing at this. Just now here's that ego bitch back again, talking shit of, what I shouldn't have done because I could have all this money and I wouldn't be in this situation and I wouldn't be at the brink of like everybody needing to quit and go get jobs for someone else. But I had spent now 4 straight years, and actually 6 straight years, making sure that everyone around me felt comfortable. And this moment I realized, like, I did it all for everyone else, and I never felt comfortable the whole time. I never felt like me the whole time. I never felt fulfilled overall and passionate and inspired and connected and free and alive and happy and energetic, like all the things that I craved to feel. I didn't feel those ways. I just was doing what I had to do to make sure everyone else was taken care of. All of their payroll was taken care of. All of their bills were taken care of. That my clients had the version of me that they needed me to be in order to listen to the badass training that I had, in order for them to implement it and build the life that they wanted. So I was talking about this on my Get Your Shift Together workshop that ended last week, about how I had done all of this for everyone else while losing myself in that journey. It was so important to me that everybody else felt comfortable, because I knew that if they felt comfortable, I'd make a fuck ton of money and my family would be all right. I wouldn't go back and make a different decision. I can tell you that right now, because we have the house we live in and the cars we drive and the memories that we've made and the vacations that we've had and the lifestyle that we've had, and my kids are homeschooled because of it. Like, I wouldn't go back and change it, because it would change the whole trajectory, remembering that the universe doesn't make mistakes. Everything happens for a reason. I believe those things. It was just such a hard time. And in the Get Your Shift Together workshop, this was the beginning of what I call a soul cleanse at the beginning of 2018. And, at the time that I'm recording this, we are in August of 2021. So we're like 3 years, 3.5 years into this journey. And that was like the beginning of the end, or not the beginning of the end. That was the beginning of the soul cleanse, because we already had the beginning of the end, right? It just took the end a long time to come. So this was my opportunity, right? We're at the beginning of 2018. I want you to pay attention to this pattern. I'm sharing this story with you for a very important reason. We're at the beginning of 2018, and I can get out, you guys. I can make it out. Like, I don't have to do this anymore. Right now, as I'm recording this podcast, I'm looking over into my sacred space, and there's this purple rug on the floor, and now it's more worn and tattered. I just remember like feeling so overcome with emotion and just so depressed in my own way that I would lay on this rug and just cry. I would journal for hours. I felt like I let everyone down. My vice president at the time went and got a job. Everybody I had to let go. My mom was my CFO. She went and got a job. I just, $3,500 a month wasn't enough for me to pay my bills and keep the company running. So like, I was at a place where I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. Daniel didn't have a job. He wasn't making money. I couldn't just say, hey, babe, we're going to have to revamp the budget and your checks are going to have to pay the bills and we've got to cut back. There was none of that. There was no fucking way. Couldn't do any of that. I had no goddamn money, and I had to figure out what the hell I was going to do. Like, we were definitely in D-Day, but I was so inundated with all the emotions from the last definitely 4 years up to that point, all the decisions that I had made to, edit myself for everyone else and to be a version of myself that I knew that they would love, that they would listen to, that would be able to help them. And everything that I had sacrificed up to this moment, missing my kids grow up at points. I mean, we were always a stay-at-home family, so I didn't miss as much as I would have if they would have like been in public school or I would have worked outside the home. But I had missed so much. And up to this point, I was just like, everything was coming back. How old they were at that point and how much I had missed. And it was so much for me to handle and for me to deal with and for me to process. And that was the beginning of one of like my hardest times of my life. So I did say, okay, it's time again, right? Remember 2016? No, 2015, I said it was time. Yeah. Now we're at 2018. It's time again. I'm going to follow my dreams. I'm going to be a life coach. I'm going to go speak. I'm going to fucking do this. I wrote programs. I launched programs. I did free trainings. I did phone calls. I submitted for speeches. I did all this stuff. I actually got some speeches and I gave it all up and I retreated and I went back. At the end of 2019, I rebooted all of Direct Sales. So, the end of 2018, I rebooted all of Direct Sales. So we do that. We go into 2019. And I'm in a huge battle within myself. So now I'm fooling me, right? I'm no longer making people feel comfortable. I'm saying fuck whenever the hell it comes up in me because that's how I talk. I'm putting people in their place. I am being 100% Power Coach Alishia, and I am on fucking fire in my own right or in my own element, but still dying a slow death because I just won't step out in faith for me. I still am choosing making sure that Daniel's comfortable. He doesn't have to go get a job. The kids are comfortable. Our lifestyle doesn't have to change at all. Dad doesn't have to go work outside the home. None of this stuff. I'm still focused on making everybody comfortable instead of stepping out in faith for myself. And so I'm still dying slowly inside, although I'm not doing it because I'm editing myself. I'm doing it because I'm not following my dreams and what I know I'm born for. And I went on to do this for 2 years. I did indeed. So the year 2020 shows up. 2019, I pretty much stayed with direct sales coaching. I did some life coaching launches, but not many. 2020 comes and I decide, fuck this, I'm doing both. Okay, so in 2015, 2018, 2020, not to mention that 2012 is when it was all supposed to start. So now we're in 2020. So I'm doing both. I'm launching both. I'll launch life coaching this month, direct sales next month. Life coaching next month, direct sales the next month. Back and forth and back and forth. And actually, that went really well. I'll have to say, the year of 2020 of bouncing back and forth was really good for my soul. Because it felt good and it gave me what I needed in the months that I was in life coaching. And so when I felt like it was dwindling in the months I was in direct sales, it was coming right back for life coaching. My only problem is anytime I would sell direct sales stuff, I would sell so much of it that it would pay the bills and be good. And, life moves on and do whatever the fuck I want and life's still great. But when I would sell the life coaching stuff, I wouldn't sell as much and it would just kill me because that was my element. That's what I was born for. That's what I was here for. That's what I was best at, and it was like that it wasn't selling like the direct sales side was. So in August of 2020, I reverted back. I revamped my whole company. I put the life coaching on pause again. I changed the name of the company, the way I structured it, everything that I did. And by December of 2020, I was done. I quit. I knew that I had nothing left to give. I let some things keep going in the back end and, stop putting forth as much effort. My team had already had 2 more months worth of my marketing plan done. So we let that carry out and we just let it fizzle out on its own. And then I went into this I don't know what the word is. No. Yeah, so once we hit August of 2020, I was at my rock bottom, the lowest I've ever been in my life. And then the revamp of the direct sales side kind of sparked me a little bit because it needed my focus and my action and me paying attention, But then I was dead inside. Once I got to January, I was crying all the time. I was having a hard time keeping myself upright emotionally, not physically. I never just stayed in bed and wallowed because I had too much to do in my mind. It was hard. My marriage was done. It was at that point that I felt like we were never going to come back from it. I was quitting direct sales. I wasn't sure how the fuck I was going to get people to buy into life coaching stuff because they were so used to me seeing me in the direct sales light. It was just so much for me. And I was just down. Then I went to an event and set up the boys' table for their business and hung out there. And I ended up signing a contract to open a store in this little mini mall area. And then once I signed that contract, we went into design and shopping for the stuff. I had no money to open the store, no money for inventory, no money for any of it because I had just quit direct sales coaching. And, pretty much 45 days later, and $11,000. Like I said, I don't know where it came from. We opened the store. It's fully stocked. It's the most beautiful, amazing thing. And again, it's so cool how this podcast episode really connects to all the ones before. I'm sitting here with no notes. I'm just sitting here just talking to you from my heart and, telling you this story. And that quote just really sparked that story. So if you've heard it before, it is what it is. There's obviously a reason why you're hearing it again. I accidentally spent all my life making sure everyone around me feels comfortable, only to realize I never felt comfortable the whole time. And so I just ask you, is that what you're going to say when you're on your deathbed? Are you going to be looking back and realizing that you spent your whole life worrying about everyone else, taking care of everyone else, giving everything you had to give to everyone else, only to realize that those actions was killing you the whole time? You can edit that to be even more impactful, because that's also what it's saying. Comfortable, making them comfortable, and you never felt comfortable, but keeping them upright, keeping them alive, keeping them put together, keeping them everything, while killing yourself in the same breath. That's how I had my breakdown at the end of 2020 and hit that point where I cried so much, more than I have in my entire life, was because I had kept everyone up for so long, everyone around me, just holding them up. Nobody was holding me up. Nobody was keeping me together. Nobody was, doing any of that. My mom was a little bit, but at this point I felt like I was sick of going to my mom and saying, hey, I'm on the edge again, please talk me back. I'm like, I'm sick of her always having to do that. So I didn't even really go to her. Oh man, that's how I got there though, was I am one of the strongest people you will ever meet. And so holding everybody up all the time, I never made it a priority that I had people in my life holding me up, right? And keeping me together. It's not their job always, but it is people's jobs in your life and around you at times. But when I hit this rock bottom, one of the craziest things that, I never really thought would happen, but it did happen. Not only did Daniel get a job where he could pay our bills and work there, for the duration if he needed to, but he was my emotional support. He was my voice of reason. He was the one that was there talking me back from the ledge. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're still married today. That was right around a year ago at the time that I'm recording this. I think that's one of the reasons why we're still married today, is that at that point he rose up, and he rose up more than he's ever has in our entire marriage, and was there. He was my emotional support, my rock, the person I could lean on. He was just there for me. And it was just different than it has ever been before. And that was amazing, because I didn't have that around in other people. And I also wasn't allowing people to be that for me either. And I think, again, all of that is synchronicities, because Daniel needed to be that person in order for our marriage to get stronger, in order for us to be together today, So I guess I just share this with you because one of the reasons why you're so drawn to me in this podcast is because you're sick of being everything for everyone and constantly putting yourself aside and saying, oh, I'll do that for me later, or I'll just rebook that for myself, or I'll just sign up for that life coaching or that training or that call or whatever it is at another time, because so-and-so needs me. Oh, I don't have the money for that. I got to take that money and put it over here. And that money you were going to spend on yourself. But of course you found something else that could take that money. And so you could divert that. You're here because you're sick of that and you don't want that to be a thing anymore. And so I am just here to say, first of all, if nobody said it to you, I want you to know that I'm proud of you for showing up for yourself and being here and listening to this podcast and every step that you're going to take from here. Because I promise you, if you love me, my message, and you connect to me, you will end up working with me and you will end up taking that next step to change your freaking life and go into the depths and clear out your shit and hire me as your life coach in whatever capacity that looks like, you will end up doing that at some point, hopefully sooner than later for you, so that you can have that transformation and, live in the light and that personal power and find yourself again. But it doesn't matter how strong you are. And that's, I think, is the message, part of the message today. It doesn't matter how strong you are. We all go through these dark times and where things are hard and we don't know how we're going to come out the other side. And it feels so hard. We all go through that. And just like I was talking to you about in a past episode, you have to choose if those things and those hard times and those things that incapacitate you and bring you to your knees, if they're going to be your victim story or if they're going to be your power story. Are they going to be the foundation that's crumbling beneath you, or are they going to be your strength foundation? That is your choice. And so I will say again to you, I accidentally spent all my life making sure everyone around me feels comfortable, only to realize I never felt comfortable the whole time. Always say yes to yourself more than you say yes to other people. Give yourself some grace and progress, not perfection. We'll see you next time.